Flacco from the 15. Fires to the end zone. John Brown has it. Touchdown, Ravens! Touchdown! Woo! Joe Flacco just went Drew Brees and marched the Ravens 81 yards down the field.
And welcome to the Mobtown Blitz Show. I'm your host, Anthony Barkley. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at AYEEBARKLEY. And I'm joined today by my friend and co-host, Eazy-E.
Eric Himmelheber. He called me Eazy-E because he doesn't know how to pronounce my last name.
His name is Eazy-E.
You can follow me on Twitter at Himmelheber, EHIMMELHEBER.
As always, we're proud to do this podcast on one of the top sports websites in the district, DMVSportsNetwork.com. They can be followed on Twitter and Instagram at DMV_SN. They have some great daily content up there on all things DC sports, in addition to college sports, and a lot more. So after you listen to this podcast, go ahead and check it out. In addition, please be sure to subscribe to our show, whatever podcasts are available. That includes Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and SoundCloud. And without further ado, let's get into it. So, sad day, but a day that we expected here in Baltimore.
I cried myself to sleep that night when I heard the news.
Joe Flacco is no longer here, thanks to our genie. Not genie. Why did I say genie?
You are terrible.
It's because I was looking up on Snapchat and I saw the everyone came for Will Smith as being a genie.
Oh wow. Anyways,
the fortune teller over here.
Yes, Joe Flacco got traded for a mid-round pick to the Denver Broncos, of which we all saw coming sooner or later. You know, they weren't going to trade him, they were going to release him, but it's better to get something out of the trade than nothing at all.
Who do you think won that trade?
I wouldn't necessarily say the Ravens won the trade unless they draft some Hall of Famer with the 4th round pick or 5th round pick that they got. So I would say probably the Broncos because they got a starting quarterback. But it all depends on how they use them. You know, the Broncos had a terrible passing game last season. They ranked 19th in the league in passing offense. So, you know, they did upgrade over Case Keenum. Joe Flacco is a better quarterback than Case Keenum. There's no denying that whatsoever.
With the bigger arm.
More experience. But we all know about the Mile High Miracle, and Broncos fans are probably really conflicted right now with Joe Flacco as their quarterback.
Yeah, I can't imagine just waking up being a Broncos fan like, crap, we got the guy that just threw a Hail Mary over Raheem Moore for a touchdown and then beat us and then went on to go win the Super Bowl.
And now Raheem Moore is playing in the AAF too.
The thing, though, that really got to me was seeing everyone all over all these sports networks just trash Flacco.
Absolutely.
And it just made me, like, really angry because I'm like, that's our crappy quarterback. You can't talk about our crappy quarterback. Only we can talk about our crappy quarterback. Like, we knew that he was subpar, but we don't want everyone else saying that he's subpar.
And it's not only that. I think, like you were talking about, how everybody was kind of bashing Flacco for no good reason whatsoever.
There was good reason.
Especially guys on, like, NFL Live on ESPN, like Dan Orlovsky, he's bashing Flacco and Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, Dan Orlovsky can't talk.
He has no room to talk at all. Heck,
is that the guy that ran out of... That's not him.
You know, that's him, the guy for the Lions who ran out of the back of the end zone. Yep, that is him.
Yeah, you can't talk.
He has no room to talk.
No.
But no, I think Peter Schrager for Good Morning Football said it best. You just got to watch and see what happens, because he even said he doesn't really know what to expect from Flacco at this point because he was benched, you know, the rest of the season. He was sidelined after getting injured in that Steelers game on the first. And after the first drive, you could tell when Tua tackled him, he was coming up limping and everything. So he did get hurt. So he was actually sidelined. You know, doctors examined him. They found out he was injured. So, you know, he's going to be fully recovered. But he hasn't started in a while. So it's going to be weird. He's played here for, what was it, 11 years?
Yeah.
11 years, and he's never played with any other team. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do in Denver. I know with Phillip Lindsay's breakout season, they have a running game, and usually past history shows that when Flacco has a good running game, that's when he excels the most.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
So if the Broncos figure out that, you know, Flacco's best when he throws 15 to 25 times a game and not 35, 45 times a game, I think they could actually become a good team because, you know, they have that pass rush with Von Miller and Chubb too. You know, their defense is still solid enough for Flacco. It's just all a matter of playing to Flacco's strengths.
Yeah, I mean, you spoke on it pretty perfectly. Not to mention they also got my man Rolls Royce Freeman in the backfield. Don't be forgetting about my Ducks. Two-headed attack. Shout out to all my Ducks in the pros. So
you just had to get that shot.
I gotta plug UO in there, man. I love my Ducks.
God.
Anyway, so with the two-headed monster and Phillip Lindsay and Rolls Royce, it's just going to be interesting to see what Flacco can do. Like you said, Denver has a solid defense, and I feel like with a good running game, if they get them some blockers, you know, they got a couple of receivers over there in Denver. My only concern is if they make the playoffs, I don't care. You know, Tom Brady, whoever.
No, if they make the
Ben
playoffs,
Roethlisberger, quarterback I wouldn't want to see is Joe Flacco in the playoffs. That man is just, for some reason,
no, especially if Denver gets a home game, even
Hall of Fame worthy when he plays in the postseason.
In the postseason, you saved yourself there.
In the postseason.
But no, let's be honest. If it wasn't for some instances, like, you know, Lee Evans dropping that ball in the playoffs,
oh my God,
right then and there, Flacco would have been to 2 Super Bowls. And heck, if it wasn't for the defense blowing games the past couple seasons before this year, we would have been in the playoffs, and who knows how far we could have gone too. So it's not necessarily always on Flacco for our lack of success, but since he's the quarterback, he always took the fall for everything. But whenever we did well, he never got the credit he deserved either. So I really think Denver isn't getting, you know, a Blake Bortles or anything. It's just a matter of how they use Flacco, and if they use him right, he's going to be a very good quarterback for Denver.
If they get the Flacco that played the Super Bowl season, because he was hungry. He was going on a contract year, and he was great the first few years he was here. I mean, his rookie season, we went to the AFC Championship. Yeah. And if it wasn't for Troy Polamalu leaping over the line of scrimmage, causing a fumble, I mean, we were in position to go ahead and go to the Super Bowl his rookie year.
Yeah.
So we never know. We just never know. I mean, Flacco could have had 2 or 3 rings by now, but
they definitely upgraded over Case Keenum without a doubt. But what I found terrible about this whole trade was the Broncos Super Bowl odds actually went down after trading for Flacco. They were 100-1 Super Bowl odds. They're at 125-1 Super Bowl odds with Flacco.
Y'all keep sleeping on this man. I'm telling you. I think this is honestly what I think happened to Flacco after we got the ring and he got his check. Because I felt like he was like, okay, this contract year, I want some money. I'm going to play my butt off. I got you the ring. You got me my money. What more else do you want from me? I got you your ring.
But see, that's the other thing. Like, everybody keeps saying how Flacco didn't live up to his contract expectations. Well, when you're in a general manager perspective or position and you see your guy who's still in a rookie quarterback contract win you a Super Bowl, you're going to give him that type of money because that's the market for the quarterbacks at that time.
Exactly.
So, but after the Super Bowl, the Ravens didn't do the best job to give him what he needed to get them back to the Super Bowl. You know, they never really solidified a true number 1 receiver for him after the Super Bowl.
They tried and failed.
They were juggling offensive coordinators left and right.
I was going to say, I felt like he had a new coordinator every year.
They never established a true running back for him either. because they were juggling, Justin Forsett, then you got Alex Collins, and they were juggling. They never had a set running back for him like they had with Ray Rice, and he always had offensive line problems after the Super Bowl. His offensive line was basically made
Matt Burke retired right after the Super Bowl.
And injuries too. Their offensive line was made of glass, it seemed like, every season that one or two guys were getting hurt on the offensive line. So they didn't really do the best job to give Flacco the best offense possible, because we always talked about how Flacco was never the type of quarterback to make everybody around him better. He's just as good as the talent you put around him.
Yeah.
And that, it's not necessarily a problem. And the Broncos have a lot of talent. Like you said, they got guys like Cortland Sutton's really molded into a really good receiver. Phillip Lindsay's a Pro Bowler. So they have the talent at Denver. It's just a matter of, will they play to Flacco's strengths like the Ravens should have?
With that, y'all saw how far he can launch that ball with that Mile High Miracle. I wonder if they're going to get like some deep threat receivers for him in a draft, or what are they going to do in the offseason? But it was just like a weird, like, you knew what was coming when Lamar got drafted. We all saw the writing on the mirror, and it felt like at first, that first game in the season, albeit against the Bills, but it was just like, Joe was like, sit down, rookie, I got this, with that crazy good performance he had. And he had the Browns game was, we didn't know what the Browns were when we played them the first time.
Yeah.
We didn't realize that they were that much better with Baker, and just that defensive unit was just gotten a whole lot better.
Yeah, it was like other teams trying to prepare for Lamar Jackson. They didn't really know what to expect, kind of like how we didn't know what to expect with Baker. But, the Ravens could have won that game because Flacco threw that perfect pass to Crabtree at the end of the game, and he dropped it. So people were like, oh, well, he lost to the Browns and Lamar Jackson beat the Browns. No, Joe Flacco and the Ravens could have beat the Browns if Crabtree caught the ball.
We were also in position to beat the Saints, and then Drew Brees just worked that defense, and then Justin Tucker, is human.
It happens, dude. It happens. Flacco let us down the field, got a touchdown at the end of the game, and we all know what happened. So I think another thing is you got to realize when Flacco was here, he was also in the top 3 quarterbacks in the league in game-winning drives as well. So when it comes to crunch time, the Broncos have one of the best quarterbacks. And when it comes to game-winning drives, overtime, late fourth quarter, 2-minute drill kind of situations, with the Raiders being the Raiders and how they are.
I was going to say, it looks like that it's going to be between them and Los Angeles in the AFC West. So I wouldn't be surprised.
No, you still have the Chiefs too. So
I forgot they got the Chiefs.
You have the Chiefs out there. Like I said, it's gonna be interesting division. I still think the Chiefs will win the division.
Yes.
The Chargers we saw are still. They're still a good team. Phillip Rivers has finally built an offense around him that
Is he coming back?
Who?
Phillip.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the AFC West. So.
What's your favorite Joe Flacco moment?
My favorite Joe Flacco moment? Oh man, it might actually be in his rookie season when they faced the Raiders and he went out on that pass
from Troy Smith.
From Troy Smith, yeah, and he stumbled going down the sideline and he was like 5 yards short, and he had a lot of good moments too. Winning the Super Bowl, of course, was
that was incredible.
Pretty big moment because he went up against an amazing young Andrew Luck quarterback, and then he outplayed 2 of the greatest quarterbacks of all time too. And to go on that 11 touchdown, no interception run, tying a Joe Montana record, I think just watching that all kind of unfold in itself was pretty amazing to watch.
I'm probably gonna say my favorite Flacco moment was that last late 2-minute drive when it was like almost 80-90 yard drive they had against the Steelers, and he threw that perfect dime to Torrey Smith, because I was in a room surrounded by Steelers fans, and it was just perfect. I'm just sitting there and I'm just watching the first one, first couple of okay, we're moving the ball, and then it was I think it was I think they converted a 4th down on that drive, if I believe it or not. Like, still, fans are like, oh, it's over. We got this. They convert the 4th down. I'm like, yes, we're still alive. And then he just throws that down to Torrey Smith, and Smith catches it in the end zone. And the look on everyone's faces was just, and I was like,
Yeah,
So anytime you can get a victory over the Steelers, perfect.
He had even like off the field moments too. Like, right after he got his contract, the first thing he did was go to a McDonald's drive-through. It seems like the most Joe Flacco thing ever.
He also bought a Mega Million ticket too. It was like a giant jackpot, and I was like, what are you going to do if you win? I was like, I don't know. So
it's going to be weird not seeing Flacco here. He's the greatest quarterback this franchise ever had.
Easily.
And it's not debatable. I don't care how you are as a Ravens fan. If you didn't like him over the course of his career here, I don't care if you bashed him every time he came onto the field. He was the greatest quarterback the Ravens have ever had, and probably one of the best draft picks, too, that they've ever had as well, because I remember they got him and Rice back-to-back.
Mm-hmm.
So, drafting Flacco and finding this kid out of freaking Delaware.
Oh, my God, I remember that draft.
I don't think anybody would have thought this kid from Delaware, would have led the Ravens to their second Super Bowl.
I just remember sitting there, watching, with some of my friends. And this is before I went to Towson. I'm just sitting there, and I'm just like, they're like, the Ravens select. I was like, oh, my God, we need Matt Ryan. Of course, the Falcons picked him up. And I was like, crap, I don't know who we're going to get at quarterback. And they were like, the Ravens select Joe Flacco out of Delaware. And I said, Delaware got a football team?
Yeah. None of us Ravens fans really knew who he was because, like you said, Matt Ryan was the big quarterback to come out of that draft. And I still remember everybody was kind of up in arms how Matt Ryan, I think, won Rookie of the Year in 2008
over
Joe Flacco. And a lot of Raven fans, including me, were pretty upset about it because we see Joe Flacco going to the AFC Championship his rookie year, and we're just like, how is that not Rookie of the Year worthy too?
It's also very, I don't know, you could say the same thing about Lamar being one of the only rookies, but between him and Darius Leonard to make the playoffs. That actually had impact for
that's
that team.
true, but Saquon Barkley had such an amazing rookie season that it just kind of, it's above all other rookies. I know Baker had a great season, but still.
Yeah. It's just just super odd to see him go, sad to see him go. And we just wish you nothing but the best, Joe, as long as you don't play Baltimore. So before we continue, it's time to tell you about DMV Sports Network's library of podcasts. Right now we have 9 active shows, including our own Mobtown Blitz podcast, team shows from the Redskins, Capitals, Nationals, Wizards, Ravens, Fantasy Fever, dealing with all things fantasy football. A pair of mixed bag shows from It's About Time, DC, and Dawn and Thunder, and a debate show, DMV Dispute, which is available via live stream on Twitter. All these shows can be found wherever podcasts are available. So please check these out. And if you like these shows, please leave a review or subscribe on all platforms, including Spotify. All right, so now getting into AAF Week 2.
Or G League.
The G League.
G League of the
farm
NFL.
system for the NFL.
Kyle talked about that. He brought up a good point in the last podcast saying how the AAF is basically minor league football. And I didn't really take that into consideration until I watched it. And I was just like, it is. It is a minor league football league. Yeah. A minor league football league.
Yeah, I was about to say, if you're going into the season with, expectations of top-notch football, you're going to be disappointed. You had to go in there watching with the hopes of just decent quality. You hope some of the games are competitive. You hope that you can see something.
And you just hope you know some of the players that are on the team.
Yeah, I think I recognize the player from all 8 teams.
Yeah.
Shout out to all my Ducks in the AAF.
Man, no one cares about your Ducks.
Shout out to all my Ducks in the AAF.
Shout out to all the Ravens, the former Ravens in the AAF.
We're gonna get to your precious.
We're having a whole segment about him, but also shout out to
AAF MVP after week 1, even though they lost.
But also shout out to Will Hill, who had an incredible first week for Orlando. That he went off. And, I still believe Will Hill can be a good safety in the NFL. I'm actually surprised he's in the AAF, to be honest.
Man, we still love you for that blocked field goal return against Cleveland.
Yep,
on
we
Monday
still
Night
remember
Football.
that.
But we don't see that in Baltimore.
The AAF is interesting because you do have a lot of former players. I mean, you even have Christian Hackenberg, who
he played horrible.
He played. I mean,
horrible.
At least he didn't throw an interception. I mean, he was 10 for 23.
And he's all the quarterbacks.
And he had 87 yards and a touchdown. I mean, I don't see him ever going back to the NFL. Like, the AAF is where he belongs.
Yeah.
But it is a cool opportunity because there are players in the league who probably won't ever go back to the NFL because they're in their 30s. But it's just a chance for them to get paid to play football still.
Right.
And it is on a national, level too. The games are on CBS. I know TNT, NFL Network too.
Bleacher Report. Yeah.
So I think it's a really cool opportunity, especially for the younger players, who went undrafted,
right,
but who got signed into the AAF. It's a good platform for them to showcase their talents and everything like that.
What did you think of the games in week 1?
A lot of the games, like how me and you were talking about before the Stallions game, that a lot of them weren't really high scoring besides Orlando.
Yeah, they put a hurting on Atlanta.
Yeah, that was. But leading up to that game, the games weren't really high scoring. I feel like that it kind of plays in the part where teammates still getting to know each other.
Right.
Playbooks aren't probably as full as NFL playbooks. It's just a matter of getting into the groove of things. I think is the more we get into the season, the more scoring is going to happen.
Exactly.
That Stallions Hot Shots game
that was
actually a pretty
that was
good
really
game.
Good game.
And it sucked because
Shout out to my Hot Shots.
Who cares about the Hot Shots? Go Stallions.
They're the Ravens affiliate, man. And Josh Huff and Eric Dargan, my Ducks.
But the former Raven, Josh Woodrum, is the quarterback for the Stallions.
Oh, gosh. Right, we'll talk about your
Josh
AAF
the Goat Woodrum.
MVP. We'll try to get him on the show.
I would love to have Josh Woodrum on the show, but the last update I saw, because he did leave the game with an injury, the last time I checked, he was day-to-day. I don't know if he's active for today's game or not. The game was initially close until he came out.
Yeah.
He was leading the offense up and down the field. He was doing a very great job, and then I think he tweaked his hamstring. I think it was a hamstring injury. So it is pretty cool to see him succeed because he was like a lot of people consider him the MVP of the preseasons in the NFL because
he killed those preseasons.
He was absolutely dominant, but everybody made the excuse like, oh, well, he's facing third stringers, fourth stringers, and undrafted free agents and all that other stuff.
We were a lot of people, like, I remember there was one episode you said that, how surprised you were that they kept him over Ryan. I mean, they kept Ryan Mallett over him, and I felt the same way too. And I was like, man, like, this Josh Woodrum kid, he
plays with fire, dude.
Yeah, I like him.
Yeah,
I like him a lot.
He really gets into it. He like how Baker Mayfield yells at his teammates and gets them motivated and stuff. Josh Woodrum showed that passion, and I remember him even being interviewed saying how how he's bounced around the league a lot and he was kind of tired of it, and how he was pretty excited that he was set with the Ravens, and now that he's in the AAF, he's the starter for the Stallions. Hopefully he remains the starter because I know they have a couple of former pro or high-end collegiate quarterbacks on their team. Mm-hmm. But seeing him to be the starter of the team, and hopefully he leads them to more wins this season.
Right.
But it would be pretty cool to see former, not just Woodrum, but former Ravens succeed in general too in the AAF. So we'll see how the season goes, but for week 1, the ratings beat out the NBA.
Yeah.
I think it said the AAF had over 2 million viewers, and it beat out the NBA on ABC.
The primetime game was like Houston and was at OKC, I think.
And that's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge when you see basically minor league football getting better ratings than the NBA.
It's gonna be a tough test this week because it's All-Star weekend. So it's the dunk contest and the 3-point contest tonight. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they compete. The night games compete against the slam dunk contest and the 3-point contest, and then also not to mention ESPN's got that big game between Tennessee and Kentucky tonight. So a lot of different places people can avert their eyes to for sports. Can the AAF compete with all of that?
See how the rest of the league goes. Expansion teams too. If
this thing grows,
if the ratings keep up, it's definitely going to expand to more teams, and I can't wait to see how it does. To be moving on.
The last topic.
For those of you who have been living under a rock the past 2 weeks, Kareem Hunt, or the Browns signed Kareem Hunt.
When I thought we were going to get a top 5 running back out of the division, possibly onto our team, having to worry about Le'Veon Bell and where he was going to go, about the Browns, of all teams, go sign Kareem Hunt.
It didn't really make much sense to me, though.
I also thought thought it was a kind of slap in the face to Nick Chubb and everything that he did.
Yeah, he was 10th in the league in rushing, and he was a Rookie of the Year candidate. So I don't understand why you would try to mix him and Kareem Hunt together. I mean, don't get me wrong, Kareem Hunt's a hell of a running back, and I don't want him in the division solely because I don't want the Ravens to be dealing with that duo.
Right.
But from a Browns fan's perspective, it's just kind of like, why? Let Baker and Chubb do their thing, what they did last season, because they were great together. Why bring in somebody that had this whole situation and possible locker room problems and everything? And I know Dorsey and Kareem Hunt have had history together and everything, but it just didn't make any sense to me.
I wonder if they saw what was going on in New Orleans with Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram. Those are
Alvin Kamara, not Allen.
I said Alvin.
It sounded like you said Allen.
Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram, but like those are two totally different running backs.
Yeah. Like
Kamara's a receiving back with some speed, and like Mark Ingram is just gonna like run through you. And Nick Chubb kind of reminds me more of I guess, really seen Kareem like running through anyone, so maybe that's what they're kind of going to.
But the thing is, with Ingram and Kamara, the Saints drafted Kamara, so
the Saints also drafted Mark Ingram.
So they drafted their running backs. They didn't sign somebody to come in and play with the running back they already had, like the Browns are doing. So like if the Browns drafted Hunt and Chubb, then that would be a different story. But now with the way they ran Chubb, he was incredible for them. So if they bring in Hunt, that takes away carries for Chubb.
But it also it makes his career last long.
That is true, yeah. And Kareem Hunt is a lot better in the passing game than Chubb is. But it's just because you saw how the media reacted to it, and it wasn't too long after the whole situation with Kareem Hunt happened either.
And I was really shocked about that. Just like you said, for everything that happened with Ray Rice, and we're not sitting here condoning domestic violence by any means, and it's just I can't understand how did he get back to a team so quickly after what happened. I guess with the video that they saw, they might have said this didn't look as bad as what happened with Ray, and they try to take every case individually. Any kind of domestic violence situation is just absolutely disgusting and unnecessary and 100% avoidable at all times. I don't care who you are. I don't care what happens. It's 100% avoidable. So with that being said, just trying to stick more to the football logic of
now,
things.
like with Kareem Hunt with the Browns, none of the money is guaranteed, and he does have the possibility of being suspended the entire year too. But with past domestic violence situations that have happened in the NFL, that outside of Ray Rice, that won't seem to be the case. I was reading articles about how some insiders think he won't play before November too. So he might not play at all either. But it's just the fact if he's not going to play at all, you're barely paying him, none of the money's guaranteed, then it's just like, why? If he comes in after November, he's still going to have to learn. He still has to sit and learn the playbook. He's not going to have. He's going to have a lot of time sitting down on the bench.
Can he get access to the playbook?
Yeah.
While on suspension?
Yeah, that's another thing too. So it just causes a lot of commotion, and how like on CBS was mentioned how it's a PR risk, and it is.
Oh yeah,
and it is because they were getting a lot of crap. I remember when they drafted Baker and how he had the incidents with the public intoxication, and
it's not funny, but it is.
I mean, everybody was calling him the next Manziel, and he
quickly shut everyone up.
Oh, I never believed he was the next Manziel. Because you saw how Baker was with the fans and with kids and teammates, and he seemed like a pretty, upstanding kind of guy.
But then he had the thing with Kansas. I don't know why everyone got mad about the Ohio State flag play. If that really...
I thought that was just college football in itself. Like, that's just the greatness of college football.
Right, like people are like, that's just so disrespectful putting your team flag in the middle of an opposing. Like, shut up.
That's what I love about college football, because you won't see that kind of stuff in the pros, but in college football, that kind of stuff fires up teams and rivalries. I love that. And everybody wants quarterbacks nowadays to be Drew Brees, Mr. Classy, who's always nice. Andrew Luck, who literally says thank you after getting tackled.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Andrew Luck. I love Drew Brees. Drew Brees is my favorite quarterback. But it's kind of nice to see a quarterback who is a classy guy, who's upstanding with fans, teammates, and coaches. Mm-hmm. He calls his coaches sir and everything. He makes sure his teammates are okay. But he still, when he gets onto that field, he has that fire under his ass, and he plays with a passion, and I love that about him. From a Ravens fan point, I hate it.
Yeah, this kid is just gonna be.
I really wanted the Browns to draft Chubb and let Baker go to the Broncos or Giants, but how he's gonna take Kareem Hunt in the locker room, if he's gonna embrace him, be like, look, man, whatever happened. You're here now. You're a Brown. You're under our team now. You're our teammate. You're our brother now. Or if he's going to be like, look, me and Chubb have a thing going, and I'm really not focused on you right now. So it's going to be interesting to see how Baker, going into his second year, kind of handles all this pressure from the media. It's going to be interesting to see.
The Steelers kind of in this weird limbo thing with their roster going on, and the emergence of Lamar Jackson, and now the emergence of Baker Mayfield. Does the shift now become Ravens-Browns instead of Ravens-Steelers?
In terms of for the division or rivalry?
I mean rivalry, because as far as Ravens fans are concerned, the Browns are just another team.
I wouldn't necessarily say they're just another team because of the history.
As far as I'm concerned.
Because of the history, because the Browns and Ravens history shows that it's always close games. The Ravens never technically blow out the Browns, and the Browns never blew out the Ravens. It's always really close, kind of like the Steelers-Ravens games are. But the hate between Ravens and Steelers fans and players, that's not going to die anytime soon. It's just not.
I haven't really seen a lot of chippiness between Ravens and Steelers players.
Are you sure about that?
I really haven't seen too much. Now, fans is a whole nother story. I can't go anywhere.
Like, even Terrell Suggs has even said there's no team he hates more than the Steelers.
Well, I mean, he hates more, but he's one of the last OGs of that, like, when the rivalry was really good.
So if me and you went and interviewed every single Ravens player right now, you think more would say the Browns than the Steelers?
I don't think they would say they really have a rival.
The Ravens?
No,
stop. It's the Ravens. The Ravens and Steelers are the biggest rivalry in the NFL right now.
In the NFL?
In the NFL.
I don't know.
Who would you say is?
I don't really think they're really. See, I don't know. I think I'm just like spoiled because I grew up in that era when it was just nasty between Ravens and Steelers, and you couldn't tell me anything between, like, I don't care how long your rivalry's been going on. Ravens Steelers was it for me, and I feel like to that day, I look, I hate the Steelers. I hate the sight of them. I hate
their city. I hate their weather. I hate their infrastructure.
Their food is fire, though. No, their food is really good.
Maryland steamed crabs over freaking Pittsburgh pierogies.
I've never had a pierogi.
You don't need to have
Permane Brothers is disgusting, though.
But, I think, the Steelers-Ravens rivalry will always remain intact. That'll never go away like the Bears and Packers, even though they both had teams where they've been terrible. The just general hate between Pittsburgh and Baltimore, it's just not gonna die. It's just not. I know what you're saying, how Baker and Lamar are two of the young star quarterbacks in the league now, and they're division rivals now. So I get where you're coming from. Plus, you, like I said, you have the past hate with Cleveland fans hating, Art Modell and Baltimore. And all that stupid crap, because that's not Art's fault.
Week 17 felt like a Ravens-Steelers game.
I think it's more so because it was for a playoff spot. It was just another instance, because remember the previous year, we faced the Bengals, and
that didn't feel like, for some reason, that didn't.
I know, I get what you're saying, but I don't think it's going to sway away from Ravens Steelers to Ravens Browns.
Not to also mention, the Browns had a winning season on the line. They win that game. They have a winning season for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, and if they didn't tie the Steelers and they beat the Steelers, they'd be playing for the division, and if they would have won,
that would have been for the AFC North. So it felt like a Ravens-Steelers game. Maybe that's why I asked the question.
Yeah, I definitely get what you're saying, but I don't think the Browns will overtake the Steelers as the Ravens' most hated rival. I just don't see that ever happening unless sometime down the future, like, divisions get split, like the Jaguars would move up to, like, Canada for some reason, and the divisions, because remember, the Titans and Ravens used to be a rival.
Yeah, that used to be the big thing in the AFC Central. Yeah,
so unless something like that happens, I don't see that ever happening again. So that'll about do it for us here. Hope you enjoyed the show, and if you did, subscribe to us wherever podcasts are available. And maybe even leave us a review on iTunes, as that'll help us grow in the charts and reach more people like Brad Pitt. You can find me on Twitter at Himmelheber. Hey, Brad Pitt might like football. He might like Ravens podcast. You can find me on Twitter at Himmelheber, EHIMM as in Mamma Mia, ELHEBER. And you can find my co-host, Anthony, at
I can't get it out. A Barkley, AYEEBARKLEY. You could at least say like Michael Phelps or something like that.
Nah, I gotta aim higher. Just aim high.
Olympic gold medalist.
Forget that. Don't forget to check out DMVSportsNetwork.com. Follow them on Instagram and Twitter at DMV_SN. And if you want to join the team, contact them via Twitter, the website, or shoot them an email at DMVSportsNetwork@outlook.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk.